Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something really cool. We're synthesizing everything, from your own personal psychology all the way out to massive global megatrends to completely equip you for the exponential era. We're pulling from the absolute best research out there on peak performance and technological disruption, all to help you build a totally future-proof foundation. Let's get into it.
So let's kick things off with a seemingly simple question. Are you actually ready for the world of 2050? I know, it's really easy to just assume tomorrow will look pretty much like today, maybe just a little bit faster. But we've got to stop and ask if your current mindset is truly prepared for the radical, literal civilization-transforming changes headed our way. Seriously, the gap between the folks who prepare for exponential change and those who just rely on outdated linear thinking, it's about to get exponentially wider.
Here's our roadmap for getting there. First, we'll master your inner landscape. Then, we'll unlock the formula for the impossible. From there, we'll explore the exponential growth shift, navigating the AI era, the megatrends shaping our world, and finally, future-proofing your life.
Okay, part 1. Master your inner landscape. It's time to change your thinking.
Look, before you can navigate a rapidly changing external world, you absolutely must hack your own psychology. It's step 1. Psychologists call it the law of substitution, basically deliberately replacing your negative default thoughts with highly focused positive ones. Think about how Michelangelo created his absolute masterpiece, David. Personal growth is that exact same intense process. It's visualization and then relentlessly chipping away at the unnecessary. You're the marble, but you're also the sculptor. How cool is that?
There's this great thought from Mahatma Gandhi, who noted that service rendered without joy really helps no one. And this perfectly captures the concept of finding your highest goal. Now, this isn't just some boring corporate mission statement. We're talking about a deep, authentic purpose that brings you actual joy while you're serving others. In a chaotic world, that purpose, it becomes your absolute ultimate stabilizing force.
Moving into part 2, the formula for the impossible. Let's talk about achieving flow.
All right, so once your inner landscape is totally dialed in, we can start applying some neurobiology to push right past what you thought were your physical and mental boundaries. To do this, you've got to structure your ambitions across 3 very distinct timescales. You need a massively transformative purpose for your lifetime, high, hard goals that might take years to hit, and then clear goals for your daily boots-on-the-ground execution. Because let's face it, external rewards like money only go so far. Stacking intrinsic motivators, things like deep curiosity, that's the real secret sauce to generating peak mental energy. And to actually execute those goals consistently, day in and day out, you need to trigger a state of flow. McKinsey did some research on this, and get this. They found that being in a flow state can increase your productivity by a staggering 500%. That's massive. And the best part? You can systematically trigger this state. You do it by introducing high stakes, giving yourself autonomy, embracing a little bit of unpredictability, and finding that perfect sweet spot where the challenge exactly matches your current skills.
That brings us to section 3, the exponential growth shift. Time to look at the tools of the modern era.
You know, for centuries, human progress was basically linear, just small, steady, highly predictable steps. But today, technology grows exponentially through compound doubling. I mean, remember Kodak? They literally invented the digital camera, but they ended up going bankrupt simply because they applied linear thinking to an exponential technology. It's a tough lesson, but it proves that disruption waits for absolutely no one.
So the crucial thing to understand here is that exponential technologies actually follow a really predictable path, often called the 6 Ds. First, once something is digitized, it enters this deceptive phase of almost invisible, under-the-radar growth. Then boom, suddenly becomes disruptive. Next, it demonetizes, meaning costs plunge to near zero, and it dematerializes. Think about how physical gear like chunky cameras and paper maps literally just turned into a simple app on your phone. Finally, it democratizes, handing tools that used to cost millions of dollars to pretty much anyone on Earth with a smartphone and an internet connection.
The legendary aerospace engineer Burt Rutan said it best, "The day before a breakthrough, it's just a crazy idea." But thanks to that massive democratization we just talked about, you now have a cognitive surplus of billions of minds online. Leveraging crowdsourcing and crowdfunding to test out those outlandish, totally brilliant ideas, that's not just a trend, that is the new baseline for building the impossible. All right, section 4, navigating the AI era. Welcome to the third era of computing. Artificial intelligence is, without a doubt, the ultimate exponential technology of our time.
But we really have to draw a line between narrow AI, which is actually already everywhere, doing things like writing code and driving our cars, and artificial general intelligence. This race for AGI, for actual human-level cognition, brings some incredible promises of scientific breakthroughs. But man, it also forces us to confront some massive sweeping shifts. We're talking job displacement, the realities of mass surveillance, and even potentially the need for a universal basic income. And because data is essentially the new oil fueling all this AI, cyber sovereignty is becoming the new global battleground. We are watching a really stark division unfold right now between free, open digital systems and closed, heavily monitored authoritarian networks. This intense geopolitical competition to control internet infrastructure and technological ecosystems is going to fundamentally rewrite global power dynamics over the coming decades. Keep your eyes on this one.
Now for Section 5, Megatrends Shaping Our World. Let's take the macro view. Let's zoom all the way out now to the megatrends. These are the massive, planetary shifts that will literally define the terrain you're building your future upon. The most foundational one is simply a number: 9 billion. Yep, the global population is rocketing toward 9 billion people by 2050. To put that into perspective, this staggering growth is going to massively strain our natural resources, accelerate the rise of sprawling megacities, and completely reshape emerging markets.
But here's the catch. That growth is wildly uneven. For instance, by 2030, Europe is set to become the oldest region in the world. They're looking at a shrinking support ratio of roughly 1.6 workers supporting every dependent. That kind of demographic shift is going to profoundly stress pension and healthcare systems in ways that advanced economies are, frankly, entirely unprepared for right now.
On the flip side, while Europe ages out, sub-Saharan Africa's population is projected to double. That's going to create a massive youth bulge that desperately demands immediate jobs and huge educational infrastructure. Meanwhile, India is going to hit its population peak. What this means is that older, wealthier regions are going to find themselves in a desperate global bidding war to attract young immigrant tech talent just to keep the lights on and keep their economies afloat.
When we actually map all these forces out across a timeline, you can see how they're going to violently collide over the next 2 decades. By 2030, we'll likely see the rise of 30 massive megacities, right around the exact same time AI potentially matches human cognition. Then, looking ahead to 2050, as Earth likely crosses that 1.5-degree warming threshold, rapid urbanization and climate breakdown will directly intersect. Basically, humanity is going to be forced to either cooperate on an unprecedented global scale or face some genuinely severe consequences.
Navigating this wild future means balancing 2 very extreme societal forces: globalized universalism on one side and local tribalism on the other. Think about it. Citizens are going to demand borderless digital trade and seamless connectivity, but at the exact same time, they'll likely retreat into the safety and familiarity of localized nationalist identities. Walking that profound cultural tightrope is going to be the ultimate test for any future leader or organization.
Finally, Section 6, Future-Proofing Your Life. Let's look at the 2040 scenarios.
So, what does all of this actually mean for your daily life, your career, your family? Well, forecasters point to a few highly plausible futures for 2040. We might see a massive democratic resurgence fueled by tech innovation. Or, conversely, an era of deep global splintering. We could enter a golden era of climate cooperation, or plunge into severe geopolitical rivalry. Because the exact outcome is still a giant question mark, your absolute best defense, your real superpower, is to remain a relentlessly adaptable, lifelong learner who fully embraces a growth mindset.
Ultimately, you hold the power to help shape this outcome. So I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How are you going to apply your own personal highest goal to the megatrends of tomorrow? Seriously, how will you use your totally unique passions and those engineered flow states we talked about to help solve the grand challenges of the next 3 decades? The future isn't written yet. It's up to us. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. And remember, keep learning.